All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Upside Brown podcast. This time we're not in Chicago. It's our first episode in Los Angeles. And I'm here with two of our guests, again, from the Upside Brown cast, Rabbani Kaur and Seth Humerick. I'll let them, introduce themselves.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Seth. First off, your voice sounds great on a microphone.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
soothing. Hi, I'm Seth. I played Nick, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Moved out to Los Angeles about a year ago, and now I get to see Rahul.
Wonderful.
Awesome. I'm Rabbani. I played Arya on the show, and I go to Chapman University out here. I'm a junior, and I love living in California, pursuing acting, and excited to be here.
Awesome. I think we have a pretty good setup here because, first of all, we have the two characters in Upside Brown. They have a little interest going on. So we got a lot to talk about there. And, they're both aspiring actors in, the Los Angeles area. So we'll, delve a bit into that. The first thing I kind of, want to talk about is when you were auditioning for, Upside Brown, or when you saw that thing and you saw the description of the show and the character, I guess what were your initial thoughts of, what you were expecting going into filming or the show? And then if your expectations were met or you, got something different than what you expected?
Expectations far exceeded, absolutely.
Wonderful.
I found it on Backstage, and I applied and I read the characters, like fun, goofy, a little introverted, and I was like, oh, great, I can definitely play that. So I loved auditioning, and when you guys called, I was like, oh, these guys are great. And when I showed up, it was just far more like professional than I even expected. I was like, great, this is going to be awesome. But the whole team was so professional, so hardworking. It's one of the best sets I've been on, to be honest, and just blew me away.
I appreciate it.
I definitely agree with that. It's definitely one of the best sets I've been on. Like, everyone is genuinely like a family, which was awesome, and everyone really cared about what they were working on. And when I was auditioning for the show, like I was definitely going for the role of Simran, who's played by Haritha, who's amazing. And when I started auditioning for Arya and started being considered for Arya, it was like, damn, actually I do see myself as more of her. And there's one line on the show, which is like my favorite, that she says. And I'm like, I'm glad I booked her because I love that line. But it far exceeded my expectations. I didn't think it would be on that level of like professionalism that it was. And now that we have the trailer out, like, it looks amazing.
I appreciate it. I mean, you're going to have to tell us the line.
Well,
if you're going to say,
well,
we're
We're just going to move past that.
Yeah.
well, you don't want to reveal it.
Okay, so it's one of those important
it's
ones.
a secret.
Okay, it's a secret line.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
You gotta watch the show to know.
Oh, yes.
That's all I have to
Great
say.
teaser built in.
Exactly.
Easy marketing. Do you guys think your personal personality and your character, do you think they're very similar, or did you think you had to kind of reach out and play something like off your natural type?
For me, I'd say, generally speaking, is pretty close. I will say Nick gets to be a lot like goofier.
Yeah,
and he's just like a silly, weird dude. But other than that, I think, based on like how I grew up, I very much identify with. I grew up like late. I had a late growth spurt. So like at 15 in high school, I had braces. So I'm like, great. I absolutely understand like what the hell feeling like. I'm like, why don't I just grow up at this point?
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up late, which is great, but it gave me a lot of like Nick energy in high school. I totally had that. And then I also got to do like a bunch of physical comedy, which is really fun because he's just so goofy.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't, I don't think I really had to go too much out of my box to play Arya, because she does have that very chill and calm demeanor, in which like I talked to you and Yash and asked you guys, I'm like, how come you picked me for Arya and stuff? And like now, like I see it, and when we were doing the scenes, like her and I are very similar, which is sometimes really fun to do, rather than like going all the way out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think I would definitely, I kind of agree with that overall. It felt like when we were auditioning you guys, for the roles, like you would do the audition or whatever, and it was good. And like for some reason, I felt like even after the audition, you were like talking to us naturally. I'm like, are you still acting in the character? I'm like, yeah. It's like I think there's like it wasn't like a crazy switch or something.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and I think that's good because of how the show is like Upside Down.
Yeah.
It's very like reality and like you said, like a spin
Yeah,
on The Office.
totally.
So
Exactly.
it's like you gotta be natural.
Yeah, that was actually also a big thing for us when we were casting. We didn't want to do too much like off personality like type casting because okay, as you guys know, it was a very aggressive shoot in terms of like how many minutes we filmed in how many days. Like what the show's like 270, 280 minutes total.
I just
And-
remember Yash would have, for most scenes, he would have kept going, like
Yeah.
Scorsese style, 70 times if he could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, it was definitely a mix between us being like, we have to like move on versus like
Yeah.
getting the perfect take. Because yeah, we had like 17 days for like 270 minutes, which is like, pretty aggressive. And so it was very important to get the right actors who can like do things in like less takes because that was one of the few things that was in our hands. Potentially to optimize time. There's certain things like lighting setups and other things where it's like it's gonna take as long as it's gonna take. It could be worse if people are like fooling around and stuff, but like ideally there's like a minimum time that takes. And we got very lucky with all the actors overall. I mean the cast was like very obviously they're very good, but like also just fun to be around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know you guys were not there for like the whole like 17 days of it. But I think even I will say the most fun part was when you guys were there because you guys were there. When you guys were there, it was like everyone was there. It was like, for example, one of the episodes is pretty much every single character that has been introduced to the show is in one of these episodes. And I mean that was definitely the most chaotic.
To the dance
Night.
party.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yes,
dance party
you guys
episode.
So
have
fun.
to
Yeah.
watch that.
So fun.
Oh my gosh.
It's episode 8, so that means that it gives you reason to have to watch all of it. So
It was so fun. So
Yeah.
much fun.
that was a good time, and it's it was just felt like a party. It was very chaotic, but that was definitely the most memorable like day and a half, 2 days, whatever that was. But yeah, and I also not just about the show and acting and stuff. Are there certain as you guys are pursuing your careers, like roles you guys are more interested into? Is it like in this comedy space or more dramatic or I don't know? You're just kind of open to everything. I know you guys are young, just like me.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like I'm also like I'll fucking do anything. But it's like
Shorts.
Yeah.
I definitely have had that thought. Just because like I will do anything. I just want to perform.
Yeah.
And just get to do that. But it's also weird being so like open to everything that you're not. I had this thought the other day where I'm like not totally zooming in on one thing either.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing because I'm not diving into something 100%. But at the same time, I'm trying a bunch of different stuff, which for now sounds great.
I have that same dilemma.
Yeah, but eventually I'm gonna be like, okay, you can't put like 30% into comedy, a couple into voiceover, and audition on screen all the time and expect you're gonna just like crazily get lucky at one of them. You got to put in the work at most, but I'll get there.
Yeah.
I think I have
That's
a
a
couple
journey.
years to just like I'm doing a bunch of I'm taking classes and doing improv and comedy and stuff, and I love it. But I had the thought the other day. I'm like, okay, I don't think that's the space I'm searching for. It's a great learning tool to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that's my ultimate goal. So slightly crossed one off the list.
Okay, that's good.
Totally. For me, actually, comedy is not something that I'm very comfortable with. So, doing Upside Brown was definitely, a different experience. And even like every audition that I get for a comedic role, like I had one the other day and I was just having fun on camera. Like, for me, comedy is a little tough, and something that I really want to focus on is drama. Like, you could put me on literally Euphoria and tell me to have a breakdown and I will do it instantly. Like, for me,
Awesome.
that comes so easy.
That's actually good because in the short film we have coming up soon, you will have
Oh,
to cry
yes.
right away.
Yes.
So that'll be
But yeah, no, I literally, a show like Euphoria or Gossip Girl, like that's like my goal right now is really just to do a project like that. And same like Seth, like I'm taking classes, every week and just focusing on my craft right now, learning about the business of the industry too. So let's see.
how long did it at what age or when did you realize like, oh, you're like, I want to do acting? I feel like everyone has their own number and their own story. And it's never linear. So I always think that's an interesting question to ask actors and stuff.
Yeah. I played a lot of sports growing up, and then I stopped like growing that fast. So I was like,
I feel you.
so I was like, I need to find something different. And my brother's like, hey, I think you should, do the musicals. My older brother, and I was like, great, okay.
Yeah.
And then I got to high school and I found like plays and just more straight acting. I just fell in love with it immediately. I don't know. Like, to be honest with you, I don't know when specifically. Probably when I was like a sophomore in high school. I was just like, oh, I would love to do this forever if I can.
Awesome. That's great.
I actually have a specific moment that I tell everyone. So I did middle school in India, and when I was there, I had a friend who her dad was casting for a short film, and she told me to audition for it. And I literally go in, and even the camera couldn't pick up my voice because I was that quiet. But I was like, this seems fun, like whatever this is, like being in front of the camera, and like same like you. Like I did so many sports: basketball, tennis, track, swimming, you name it. And from there, like I, moved back to the US, started modeling, like doing like commercials and stuff. And that's when I was like, okay, like this is something really fun. This is something that I want to pursue, and went at it.
Nice. No, that's pretty good. I
How
think.
about you?
Oh, me, yes. So so for me, I had no inkling of it until like middle of college. Like going in high school, I kind of like I did a lot of sports and stuff. I was really tall in middle school, so I was like a power forward on the basketball team. I was like one of the faster kids in track. I did high jump, believe it or
Nice.
not.
Nice.
I was kind of tall.
Did you jump
like
off 1 or 2 feet?
one?
Okay. Is that what you're supposed to do?
Flop, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so that was fun. But then, I was competing against like people who were 6'7". I was like, Garrett, this is enough. Yeah. And then when I was going to college, looking for majors and stuff, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I kind of just did a process of elimination. And I was like, all right, I'm good at math and science, so I'll pick like some type of engineering that involves that and see how it goes. And then my first couple years, I tried like all types of internships, research, work opportunities, and I was like, yeah, this is not it. And I think low key though, in the back of my mind, I'd always been like, film, Bollywood, cinema, like fanatic.
Yeah.
And I would always have dreams of me like acting or in a music video in my head, or just like thinking of stories. And I think for me, like all these imaginations come in the shower in the morning, because that's like first thing I do is I take a shower, 25 minutes, and I'm just thinking about random stuff.
25 minutes?
Like it's pretty long, yeah.
Pretty long.
Yeah, it's like a ritual for me. It's not even just to clean myself.
Do you think space?
Yeah, it's like 80%.
You're enacting a Bollywood music video in the shower.
Yeah, I mean, so that itself was like 8 minutes right there. So it's like
8 minutes. I feel like 18.
No, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking about the music video, all that stuff in my head, and then like when I was a kid, I would just forget about it. I'm like, all right, whatever, it's done. It's just a funny thing. But whenever I was a kid, I would like, if we had a school project, I'd always make like a movie or like some skit or something like that. And I was like, all right, then that's done. But I really enjoyed it. And so I had a little introspection like after sophomore year of college, after I tried like 3 different internships and research stuff. And I was like, they're all like I hated every single one. And then I think this one summer I wasn't really working, and I was in Chicago, and I don't know really what prompted me to try the acting thing, but I just kind of started a little bit. It was through Yash, honestly. He just was doing some little short film, and I was like acting in it, and I think that's how I slowly started discovering it. Until one day I kind of just I was coming back home from finals. I remember it was winter break. Part of it was because I probably fucked up the finals as well, so I wasn't in the best mood. But I remember my dad was picking me up from the airport. I was coming home, and that was the day I decided, I'm gonna go in on like at least the film type of stuff. That's when I told him, and yeah, so that was the day. I remember December something of my sophomore year.
Good response from him.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Nice.
I don't know why I was
That's
super.
awesome.
Yeah, no, you guys have met my dad. He's like probably the most supportive, especially for like an Indian parent. Like I think he is, which is rare in that
And
community.
that was the biggest thing, like on the show, like even Yash's dad, like
Yeah.
or like both of your families so supportive, which is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know, and like especially for like that, plus the fact that you're filming with them.
No,
as well.
literally,
It's
like where have I seen that? Nowhere, like
Alright.
no Indian family.
Yeah, ever. So it was, that was also a unique part of it too. So I was lucky in that regard. I didn't have to. I feel like a lot of people have to fight that other layer. Like first you have to fight with yourself to do it.
Yeah.
Then you have to fight with your like whatever
Yeah.
parents or whatever. I didn't have that second one, which is nice. But I'm in the same space. I'm still figuring it out. I feel like I'm a little spread out because like I'm doing a lot of acting, writing, and directing stuff.
Sure.
And I feel like I'm not like amazing at any of like all of them, but like I'm just trying to see what I like the most. But we'll figure it out. So
Upside Brown turned out pretty great. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the response is. Hopefully, but yeah, it'll be fun to see how it goes. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, we all found it pretty early-ish, maybe. Actually, I don't know. Maybe not.
Early enough to like change to be able to pursue it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like a decent.
Which is lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
At least
Not
for me, it was like 8th grade.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I
Was it eighth
remember.
grade? Like what?
Yeah, like
9th, 10th grade.
Yeah, 9th, 10th grade.
Yeah,
I've been
mine-
doing it for a while, but I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
can continue. And I remember talking to my friends, honestly, and at the end of high school, going into college, and like, I have no idea what I want to focus on.
Yeah.
And I was looking at them, I'm like, oh, I've just like haven't had that thought in years. Like my mind has just been like, great, like what your general path is.
Yeah.
Which was just very lucky, because I mean, it sucks having that dilemma.
Yeah.
You're just like, I have no idea what I want to
Yeah.
do.
That was my biggest, I think, personal crisis for a while. I think up until high school, I was just, a very hardworking person. I would just, if I had like a class or something, I would just work really hard at it and get it done, all that stuff. So I knew I had that in me, but like I never enjoyed what I was doing. I just did it because I knew I was supposed to do it. And so part of my head was kind of like, I want to find what I like and want to do, and I will just work really hard at it. But for literally like 3 years, I couldn't find it, and it was like one of the most frustrating like things, just discovering that. But I think part of me was like afraid to admit to myself that I wanted to do something in the creative space and not like, something more normal.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
More 9 to 5.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I think that's like half the battle, just finding it. And then, I heard from, is this one quote too? I've heard it's like from people who've done, similar things, going from like a corporate job to like, or some creative thing they like. It's like, and if they were good at that, it's like, if I was successful at something I hated doing for a long time, if I love something, just imagine like how much better I'll be.
You know who
Yeah.
said that? Or at least the first place I heard that, it was Jim Carrey.
Oh, interesting.
He
That's-
said that in like a graduation speech. He's like, I could have.
Oh.
He's like, if you're gonna be good or suck at something, why not suck it or be good at the thing that you like?
So I think a Bollywood actor might have copied him because I think that's where I heard it from, which is on
Probably.
brand.
I mean, it's just a great like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
sure it's existed for a while.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
But
dream inspiring, I guess.
yeah, exactly, and it makes sense too. Like it's like as a quote, like it's very logical and yeah. But it also only works like if you were good at stuff before in the past. But it's like
Sure.
whatever, it still works.
You
But
always get there.
exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, at the end of the day, it's like as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, you've already kind of won, anyway. Which is what I'm
Yeah.
feeling too. In the past, like it's just determinant on if it's just determinant on results, that's not like a sustainable path. So it's like
Sure.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like everyone keeps asking me, oh, like what do you want to do in life? And I'm like, I don't see myself happy other than when I'm acting. Like there's literally nothing else that I want to do other than act. So
that's awesome to have the
Yeah.
clarity though.
it's rough, and it's like, like yeah, I have like a backup plan. Like I have I'm getting my college degree right now, but at the same time, it's like, is that really gonna make me happy? No.
Scary and exciting.
I know.
Yeah, but I think going off the kind of backup plan and all that stuff, what is your backup plan? I guess just curious.
Okay. So I entered college with the idea that I would go to law school after taking a gap year and pursuing
very different.
entertainment law. So I mean, my grandpa's a lawyer in India, and because I was there, I have an interest in law. I have a minor in law right now. I love reading through interesting cases, those 100-page cases. And so I know that I could do law school if I really wanted to. Like I've always been good in high school and like taking APs and stuff. But the more that I'm like getting close to graduation, I'm like, okay, like if I really were to do law school, then that means I would have to, kind of diminish the amount of time I give to acting. And I just don't think I'm ready to do that, especially like I booked something recently last year, and I'm like, if I were in law school, I wouldn't have been able to do that opportunity. And so thinking about that, now I'm not really going to law school that much.
Yeah.
So, and luckily my family is very supportive. Like my mom is very supportive of that. But I do have a major in creative producing. So like, I love the business of the industry, and no matter what I do, I just want to be involved in the industry at the end of the day.
Nice. Awesome. And going into that, so I know like I remember when you were preparing for the role of Arya, everyone has their own like acting, preparation methods. Some are more and all that stuff. But I remember you made like some Google Doc with like, I forgot all the notes, but it had like a shit ton of notes and stuff. I kind of want to ask you guys, what is your like, you got a role or whatever. It's like a certain number of pages or whatever it is. And you're maybe not 100% sure of the vibe of the character, or maybe you are. But like before a shoot, like what does the preparation practice look like? I guess like whether like a few weeks out or the day before, or like how does that work for you guys?
Yeah, for me, when I get a role, I like to be as prepared as possible, just because, well, one, it's you're gonna be best off that way.
Yeah.
But two, I think it's just so like irresponsible and disrespectful to if you're on other people's time, and like this is a whole project that's happening, like be ready when you're up.
Yeah.
It just makes everyone's life easier. So a lot of what I do is I just like memorize the lines, play with the characters' physicality, but I leave enough room to like, I remember like texting or whenever we would Zoom, I would ask you and Yash, I'm like, okay, how do you imagine him like feeling on this line or saying it on this line?
Yeah.
And then we could like work through it. But at that point, I also leave a little room to see like who you're acting with. And so when I met you, I was like, great. I'll play it like a little bit differently based on the energy that I'm getting. Each take's gonna be a little bit different. But if you're prepared enough for that, then it's like slight improv each take. But you know your character well enough that it's just safe to do so, which is really fun.
How do you memorize lines?
To be honest with you, I take a couple lines at a time. And from a show I did in high school, I have this long, like, planked piece of wood. It's just like a circular plank, or it's like a long stick. Yeah. But, oh my God, I'm being so stupid. It's called like it's like a 3D shape. Holy shit. It's like circles on the end.
Cylinder?
Yeah, it's just sure. Yeah, it's just a cylinder. Jesus. Yes, it's a cylinder. I literally twirl it. I just constantly twirl it. And if I can get to the point where I'm only focusing on the twirling and I know all the lines, and I'm like, great, you've got it down in any situation.
That is interesting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, no, I don't know how I started it.
How did you come up with that?
Because I like to be moving. I'm always walking around when I'm memorizing. So if I can do something with my hands and just start speaking the lines and only focus on what I'm doing with my hands, then I know I've got it.
That is interesting.
Damn.
It's
I'm
really,
gonna steal that.
it's really weird because I need to be moving and walking and like, I'm just
I think the moving
slightly
walking
anxious
it also gets your
human
brain going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So if I can, I'm just moving around and I'm like, great, if you can memorize it in different situations, like repeat it in the shower, repeat it while you're twirling, repeat it while you're walking, then no matter what happens on set, it's going to come out.
Yeah. Do you also twirl cylinders?
I wish I did. Because that sounds really smart. No, mine is so boring. I will get the script and, first I'll like read through it casually, just see how I feel, how I initially react to everything. And then I make sure like for me, because I've read so many scripts and like luckily I do have a pretty decent memory. So like I'm able to learn the lines pretty fast, especially with all the turnarounds, like, like they're like 24-hour turnarounds. Mm-hmm. So once I have the lines in my head, then, I'll, put my script aside and it's like my acting coach and we just kind of like go through it. And, if I have to add like lines here or there that come naturally, it's like we do that, but it's like I have the actual lines that I need memorized, but I don't focus on it too much because then I start getting in my head a lot about every single line. And which is not good, especially when you're doing self-tapes and you want that perfect take. So yeah, I try to learn the lines like off the bat. So then all I focus on is how I feel in the moment. And especially when I meet my co-star, then I love to play off the other person. That's my biggest thing. I'm big on like listening to how the other person is saying their lines and reacting in that sense. So if I have the lines in my head, then I just go with the flow of how it's going. But, I'll try to create the world of the character on my own, like with the Google Doc. Like I had like a few questions about Arya, and just kind of break it down, especially if it is a series. When you have all these episodes, it's like she has to have some life that's built for her.
And there's an arc to some degree.
Exactly.
It changes over time.
Exactly. Yeah. And, who knows if there's a second season. Like she's going to have more of an arc.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I don't get too critical on breaking it down because at the end of the day, it is natural. It is a character. It's a slice of life. So, yeah, just kind of staying in that natural realm of things.
It's very Arya vibes, the way you said it.
Yeah, very chill.
Nice. I think the cylinder one is new. I have not heard of that one, but I really like that one. I might.
It was just the first thing that, like, when I was doing it, because, sometimes I'll throw, like, a ball against the wall or something, just something to do
I've
with
heard
my
of that,
hands.
yeah.
But it was, like, the first thing I saw in my room one time, and I'm like, I just had the thought of, like, a baton leader or whatever they're called and how they can spin those things so cool. And I was like, let's just try to see what happens.
Do you have the same one? Like, ever since you started acting? It's like a...
The one that I started with is at home, just because, like, it's probably, like, 5.5, 6 feet tall. So, like, to ship...
Oh, I did not imagine it was that.
Yeah, no, it's literally, like, this long, and I just, like, hold it
wow.
in both hands and twirl it.
I thought, like, you were doing it. I was like,
No. But it's, like, so long, I'm not going to ship it out here.
Yeah.
So, honestly, we should go buy one.
I have a foam
Honestly,
roller
yeah.
that seems to be the
that
same
works.
length. So I might try that.
Yeah, it depends on how wide the phone roller is. I got to be able
I'll have
to twirl it.
I'll have to bring it in the shower.
I am glad that Upside Brown was comedy though, because if I'm doing something drama, I hate it if someone talks to me when I'm like preparing before a scene.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, nobody talk to me. And like some people can just go from like one to the other, but I'm like, no, like I need to be in my zone
Yeah.
the entire time.
No, I feel it. Since I was like helping directing and all that stuff during it, that was one challenge for me acting, because I felt like I had to like just snap into it like this right after like setting up like a shot or something.
You had two different minds.
Yeah.
2, 3. Like me and Yash had like 20 different jobs, so it was just like we had to do like just other stuff that you like don't even see and stuff. It's like like costume design. Like that shit fucking stressed me out. Like my biggest nightmare was that like we would have a character upstairs wearing like a red shirt and like khakis, and then the next thing he walks down he's wearing like a green shirt and like jeans.
Oh, continuity.
Yeah, like that was like just one and there's more than just that. Like there's that and like 5 other things I'm not remembering, but like just random stuff like that. Cause like if that was the one thing that like ruined like the entire show, like that'd be super
Game of
depressing.
Thrones Starbucks cup in the shot.
Oh, what was that?
In season 8 of Game of Thrones, on the first
Really?
episode, there was a Starbucks cup in a shot,
Interesting.
and everyone's like, "What the hell are you doing?"
No way.
But like,
Interesting.
it's I mean, yeah, it's terrible to feel that way. I've seen it.
Coordinator.
Yeah,
I've seen
exactly.
one that happen before. Like someone wearing the wrong clothes, and you're just like, "Come on."
Yeah, exactly. So no, but we like that's why like after every shoot we would just have like 2 hours, me and Yash just like scheduling the next day. And I mean we divvied it up pretty well. Like so it kind of worked out. But in terms of the acting, it was like you just have to go from that and then straight to the character. Which I mean I don't know if the character is like similar to me. I mean it's arguable. Like parts of it are
I mean,
like,
definitely more than Yash.
yes. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I would say that.
Like, Yash's was funny when he was just like yelling at people and then he has to jump in.
No,
like, like, I'm like,
literally.
Part of me thinks that like that might be slightly easy though, to be like
extreme, super extreme, right?
so extreme that he's just like great. It's like not even like I don't even have to
You don't
think
have to
about
think about
directing
it.
anymore. You're just like I am
No,
so
I'm just
far away
thinking
from
of
that.
his character in my head.
We didn't put his character too much in the trailer. It's gonna be a good surprise for everyone.
I
so
know.
it'll be
Oh
fun.
my gosh.
I cannot wait. Oh, that'll be fun.
My favorite character.
April 1st, we will see everyone. But yeah, I don't even know what I was saying. But yeah, I think it's like
Yash's character just takes over.
yeah, I'm just thinking about Bunty now. But yeah, no, I think that is a pretty big thing, and I think it comes with the only benefit I had was like since the idea of the show came in like August 2020, damn, that's a while ago. So it's like I guess I like know the character, but it's also like that which helps a little. But in terms of like snapping in and out, that is, I think a very key difficult thing. But it changes if it's comedy or not.
Yeah.
I feel comedy it almost helps.
Yeah. No,
Like having a
being
little bit
comedy's easier.
unpreparedness
Yeah.
almost helps, but like it's hard to be like
Because you can
comfortable with
improv
it. Yeah,
with comedy.
that's what Yesh's dad did.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy had. I was actually really worried. So Yesh's dad, who plays Amol in the show, he's the main character of the show.
Yeah.
When we first came up with the idea, that was not our intent. But just after we saw how funny he was, I was like, all right, he has to have more lines. So by the end of it, he has the most lines, and he's, I would say, the main character for sure. But he's never done any like legitimate acting thing. Like I think he maybe did a play or two in India when he was really young. And like he would do Yesh's short films, like one scene, just playing the dad. So nothing crazy. And he had 9 episodes, like a bunch of lines. I'm like, he's funny. I knew
You're
that.
Great.
I'm like, but is he gonna remember it? I don't really know.
Yeah.
But the thing that was good, that worked with him, was he sometimes made our script better than what it was. Like whatever he said, he would just fuck up the English, and it would just be even better. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would just add lines that are not there, and like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, sometimes it didn't work, but like 80% of it, like a lot of the time, it just like made
Some of
his
his
character.
one-liners were great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of his best one-liners were off screen, off the camera too, which
Really?
was kind of sad. But I was like,
Bloopers.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just don't. I want to make a blooper reel, but they'll probably, maybe I'll outsource that to someone.
Yeah, way
Like,
down the line.
Yeah. No, I could outsource. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that's like a pretty big difference and stuff. Have you guys had any interest or work like in like writing or directing or any other aspect of filmmaking and stuff, or stand-up comedy or like anything, or is it like fully dramatic acting or acting?
It's definitely acting for
Yeah.
me. I wish I was a better writer.
Mhm.
And you can work on that, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, I'm definitely I'm all in on the acting side of things. Now it begs the question of like, which realm do you go to? Because
Yeah.
there's voiceover, there's like motion capture, which sounds super cool. There's dramatic, comedic, sketch comedy, improv.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm hopefully gonna try everything. That
Yeah.
sounds great. But yeah, at the moment, just one dream.
Is there an actor or like an actor that you looked up to?
I was asked this question the other week, and recently the answer, I'd say it changed over like the last 2 years. Right now, it's Andrew Garfield. I think the guy is just magnificent in
Yeah.
everything he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my answer for right now.
Awesome. What about you?
Who I look up to?
Yeah.
I would say Lily Reinhart from Riverdale.
Mm.
Just given her story about like how she came out to LA and then, wasn't working out, went back home and realized like, if she doesn't go back out there and try again, she's going to regret it for the rest of her life. And from a young age, I've just kind of adopted the mindset like I do not want to live my life with any regrets. Like life is
Yeah.
short. I don't care if it won't get to that point that I'm unsuccessful, but I won't care if I die unsuccessful because at the end of the day, like I'm dying trying.
Yeah.
So no matter what I want to do,
That is a success.
yeah,
Definitely. So-
not that I will be successful,
Yeah.
but because all I want to do is act. Like literally, I am studying producing, and I would love to produce something in the future. Like that's not completely out of the realm.
Yeah.
But I do just want to focus on establishing myself in acting first, and then seeing if I want to produce.
Nice. Outside of what is like a actually no, what is like a typical kind of day for you? Like
Yeah.
in terms of trying to be an actor and stuff, especially being in LA and all that.
So I'm a full-time tutor, so I work like afternoons and nights
Yeah.
just so I can audition and stuff. Hopefully my agent will have something for me to do within the next 2 days, but
Mhm.
that's obviously more come and go. So a lot of it is whatever I find myself. I wake up early because I'm a morning person. And by the time I will go to work, I will have hopefully done 1 or 2 auditions and then search through like Backstage, Actors Access, Casting Network, all these places
Yeah.
every day and just apply to everything that might, be in my realm of possibility.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then just, go to work, rinse, repeat, hopefully shoot something. But
Nice.
it's a weird mentality because you just keep applying to stuff that you know you're never gonna hear back from for the
Yeah.
most part.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, great, just got to do it every day. Like, don't take it personally. You know, like, hopefully even 1 in 100. You're like, great, I got one thing. I applied to 1,000. Like, let's see how many I get. It's weird.
Yeah, and I think that's hard for a lot of people. Like, I have a lot of friends who I did acting courses with back in high school, and none of them are pursuing acting. And a lot of it's because you have to have that mentality and you can't take it personally. Like, there are so many things. Like, there's one thing that I did, which I really, really, really wanted, and I didn't get it. And I saw who it went to, and I was like, she deserves it. And she's amazing. But, you know, just gotta let it go, move on, focus on the next thing, can't get in my head. But for me, because I also go to college, my schedule is like notoriously busy. But I'll wake up, I become a morning person. I make sure I work out at least an hour a day. So 6 a.m., 7 a.m. is like my workout time. It's like you set your morning, you set your day intentionally, and like that keeps me going for the rest of the day. So, you know, and then the one thing that is tough, like being an Indian, so being more in a minority group, I don't have as many auditions as a lot of my other like actor friends have. So I'm not busy with an audition every day. I might not even have an audition every week. One week I might have 3. Like literally 2 weeks ago, I got into a car accident and I had 3 auditions that same week. And I was like, you're joking, right? But it's fine. We did it. So it's just like, you know, working out, going to classes. If I have an audition, you know, focusing on that for the next 24 hours. I have my acting class. And just, you know, if I have time, I don't really self-submit that much. And that way I'm really grateful for my manager and my agent who are constantly pushing for me, just because being a college student, I don't have that much time. But, you know, just hope that, okay, like next week, you know, if I get a shoot, then it's like, that is my priority. I will cut out everything in my schedule for that, obviously.
Nice. And I think it'll be exciting also when you graduate. You feel like you'll probably have like a shit ton more time.
I know. I know, definitely.
Almost there.
Yeah. Can't wait. 2024.
Nice. No, I think that's all, pretty standard. And in terms of the auditions and stuff, I know obviously everything's transitioned to like self-tapes over like in-person auditions. And I know we're like all younger, so I don't know if it's not like we've had like, we've been doing in-person auditions for like 10 years and stuff. But like, I don't know if you guys have like a preference or your thoughts or takes on that shift overall.
I have 2 minds about it. One, it's just far more efficient to do a self-tape. Yeah. Easier, you can do as many takes as you want, however prepared you feel it goes. On the other hand, I think I perform better in person. I think because in person, they'll ask you to do more than once. You'll be able to take direction, and that shows, you know, that skips a whole couple steps of them just seeing your best take in theory. Yeah. Which shows a whole nother like dynamic layer of what hopefully you want your actor to be like.
Yes.
So I like both, but I think I like in person more just because then they meet you, then they know you, then more benefits come out of that one. But the efficiency of a self-tape at home is obviously nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Especially because I am living in Orange, like if I had to come do in-person auditions, I really don't think I'd be able to balance college at the same time. That would be really tough. And the efficiency of a self-tape is easy because, you know, I'll just skip class and do a self-tape. My professors don't need to know that. But no, they've actually been pretty supportive about it. And the one thing with self-tapes is like I said, like I do get in my head a lot. And my acting coach was like, this year, like you can't. Like he knows, like, so grateful for him. Like we will, you know, be doing our class. We'll go over the audition and the lines. And, you know, I might be a little iffy on the lines. But I have the acting down, and he's like, okay, you're taping it right now. And I'm like, what? Like, no, like, I'm not ready. Like, let me give me another like 12 hours to prepare. And he's like, no, I'm going to give you that. And you're going to get in your head. Like you're taping it right now, right here. Yeah. And which is great because then I'm not in my head and I'm doing what I need to do, because it's so easy to just do 30 takes and want that perfect take with the self tape, but it is very efficient. So honestly, I would rather have that, but also like callbacks on Zoom. I wish callbacks were at least in person, because it's so easy to have a poker face on Zoom.
Mhm.
I did this one callback, and I genuinely think I messed up. And then 2 months later, I booked it, and I was like, "Oh, you guys actually liked me." Like, wait.
Yeah, I think I overall agree, and I think being on the receiving end of self tapes and like also like giving end, like as an actor, and then like as obviously Upside Brown, we did a mix, and then for other stuff I've been working on, also like looking at self tapes. Yeah, receiving them, it's like way nicer. Yeah, you get like 1,000 submissions.
I was about to
sometimes.
ask, how many did you get for
Oh,
Upside Brown?
it was crazy. Like it depends on the roles. We set it to nationwide. We
Yeah.
started Chicago, and then
I
we did
saw that.
nationwide because we're like, all right, fuck it, no, we want to get like the best actors as well. If we couldn't find something locally, for certain roles, once we set that, like for example, Russ's character, it was over 1,000.
Really?
No
submissions?
way.
I was like, yeah, but like also, but like half of them were also like not African American. So I was like, oh, what are you doing? We kind of
Sure.
said like it was alright.
Yeah.
So it cuts it down, but like so the actual people but it was still in the many of hundreds. So there was a lot. But we did kind of then we just went off look and age. And at that point we were able to siphon it off to like in the tens, like maybe 20 or something. Depends on the role.
Still good amount.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If it's like an adult Indian person, like there's like you're not gonna find any online. Like so that was why we were lucky with the older characters.
Sure.
So the ones played by like Riddhi, Shalini, all those things. Those were all either family or family friends or friends of friends of friends, like third
Sure.
connections. A couple of them we did find online, but that was definitely the hardest. Like we would put a listing for like Shalini, because we didn't have one for a while, and we would get like 6, and then it's like then you have to audition them and they have to fit the role,
Yeah.
and it's already
Yeah.
hard. So it's like we got lucky in that regard. Yeah, but like for the younger types of ones, there was a lot of submissions. For your role, you were actually one of the first people auditioned,
Oh, really?
and we
Get
were
there first, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then we were like, yeah, fuck, this is perfect. We're done. So we were like, all right.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
I was like, so we didn't
Nice.
really have to like go too hard on that
Nice.
one.
Yeah, luckily
and-
live like 30 minutes away.
yeah, yeah. That was also another big thing too. I don't even think we expanded the circle on that one.
Cool.
Yeah, because we did like Chicago, and we're like, all right, we found our guy.
Yeah.
We're
Nice.
chilling.
How come you did
So-
that for Simran and Arya?
Yeah, so we did have our. So that one is also different, I think, too, because in the show there is Shweta, one of the characters in the house, and she has 3 friends, and a lot of the scenes are interdependent with the characters. So it's not just picking the best actor. For us, it was important to look at the dynamic between everyone. So that really complicated it a little bit more. And so we did I think for that one we just I don't remember if we looked in Chicago first or just expanded the circle. I don't know what we did. But I think we just did nationwide. Actually, yeah, otherwise we wouldn't find you, right? That makes sense. Okay. So we did that, and I think we had someone helping us with casting at the time, Reina.
Oh yeah.
I worked with her on this like COVID virtual short film, like some NYU student project a long time ago. And I think, yeah, so I just asked if she was interested to help with casting, and she did. And she kind of helped. It was kind of her idea. She was like, oh, we should do like chemistry reads and stuff. And me and Yash were like, yeah, that makes sense. And I don't think we did self tapes from what I remember for that. I
Mm-mm.
think it was more Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did the Zoom stuff just first individually on the character level for Courtney, Simran, and Arya. And I think that was our first type of criteria as like, do you fit a certain character? And that was very confusing too, because then me, Yash, and Reina all had different opinions of like who should be who.
Oh yeah.
Like I would say we maybe for those 3 each role we probably had like after the first round like 7, 8 girls for each of those who could potentially be there. And we recorded all the Zoom auditions and stuff, and we each had our own kind of ranking for all of them at that first level. And I think we made people audition for 2 roles. Like we probably had you do
Yeah.
Simran and Arya. I mean, Courtney was Courtney. You can't
Yeah.
really do another
Yeah.
one.
Like Courtney was booked.
Oh no, actually no, that was not that was a debate actually at some point.
Oh,
I remember.
really?
Yeah. But no, me and Yash were with it was and then it came to the chemistry reads. I think, after that. And then we saw how people hop off one another. And, Simran, who was playing Haritha, who was playing Simran, she is like super like very, very, very high energy.
Yeah.
And we like that, but we needed it to like, we needed to see how that fit because like Courtney was also high energy as well. And so we weren't sure like, like, is this going to work?
Having Simran and Courtney.
Yeah. And then you have Arya, and how does that balance too? And I think we had different permutations that we rotated people in and out of that breakout room.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then we were kind of looking at it, and I think we locked in one by one. Yeah, I think we had very long conversations, and we had debates for like hours on how to pick it, and then we just came to the final decision on you guys, and it worked out, obviously, as you can see in the trailer.
Nice.
So, but that was very fun. I know the conversation was self tapes, and we didn't do self tapes, but I
Honestly,
think
I'm
that was a good
glad.
thing.
Yeah.
I think it worked for us. My personal opinion, I like the efficiency, like you said, of self tapes, but like when I was in Chicago, a few of my auditions were in person, since that was like pre-COVID and stuff.
Right.
And I found like if I was in person, I had like the rate of me booking was like a little higher. I don't know why. I don't know if like
Yeah.
maybe it's like you connect with the people in person.
Yeah, let's say they get to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, in
Yeah.
some capacity, they get to know you.
And I think a big thing is too, like you said, your ability to take notes can be tested. Like if you were like, oh, do this like more anxiously or
Yeah.
whatever, which is also important to gauge. And so if you're good at that too on the spot and stuff, I think that's pretty good. But yeah, I think it's the efficiency. It's hard to let that outdo the efficiency. But I think the best thing would just like what I'm probably gonna do moving forward is like a self tape, and then if possible an in person callback or something.
Sure.
If not Zoom and then in person, depending how many people there are. I think that is probably the best type of order of it. Yeah, but as an actor, I like I don't know. I go back and forth on self tapes. It depends on the role, I would say, sometimes. But I think for some reason I thought before I did my first self tape that I would like keep doing it until I found a perfect one. And sometimes I do, if I don't feel. But like sometimes I'm also like, yeah, fuck it, I'm done.
Sure.
It's like
Yeah.
part of it's also like
If you do too
yeah.
many times, you start to feel robotic.
Yeah, I think once I
Yeah.
start feeling myself like after I'm doing it for a little bit and it's just getting worse, I'm like,
I get
Alright.
actor's block. The
Yeah.
other day, I like texted my roommates. I was like, okay, I just need 10 minutes to do this self tape. Took me 40 minutes because I
Yeah.
hated every single take that I was
Sure.
doing,
Mhm.
which sucks.
yeah. And I think for me when I do my self tapes, like I could have my roommates, read for me all this stuff, but I always have Yash do it. So I like
Nice.
call him on a Zoom and stuff because I
Yeah.
feel like since he's also on the directing side, he has like I'd rather he gives me a little bit of notes. He knows me very, very, very well, obviously, since we're good friends. So I think that also helps in a way. He also knows like my fuck ups as an actor, I think too. Like naturally I talk very fast.
Okay.
Like you guys have probably noticed. But like in real life. But when I'm acting, like I make a conscious effort to like talk slower. Especially with characters and stuff. There's certain things he knows, like when I inflect my voice or like all these things, and he
Yeah.
knows pretty much every character I've ever played in my career. Like
Okay.
I'd either show him the short film or he was on it, so like he knows like my range and stuff. So that has been very helpful, I think. Which is like obviously you're not gonna get that in person too. But part of me misses the in person interaction of it. But
Yeah, I use one of my roommates also wants to be an actor, so we always just like ask
Yeah.
each other to help film our self tapes, and it's interesting because he does know my range pretty well, but the difference is he comes from a place of how he views it, and I ask him like, "What's your take on how would you play this character?" Because we're pretty different enough that like he's gonna be like, "Oh, I thought they were saying this line this way,"
yeah,
which gives me at least like two ways to think about it, and then maybe find a better aspect.
yes, yeah.
So as much as I would like a couple of my friends from home who would know, probably be like, "Oh, you're doing this," which like doesn't make sense. That's a Seth
yeah,
ism.
Mhm.
I like it. Like he just gets a totally different perspective. I'm like, "Oh, I would never have thought of it that way. Maybe
yeah.
that belongs."
And I mean, it's good. Also, he's like an actor, right?
Right.
That helps. Yeah. Because they'll give you stuff like, oh, I interpreted the character this
yeah.
way.
You
and
can
stuff.
you can also bounce off them as like you don't want them to act a crazy amount as a reader, but
Yeah.
if they're playing a character the way that you're reading it, you're like, great, now I can actually somewhat more naturally act this like as if it's not, just my first time reading it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, if like my my roommates were more into like film acting and stuff, I'd even maybe I'd even do that
Sure.
more. I mean, even not that like even if you're not, I think you can still be a good reader. I'm not saying that. But yeah, they're more. They're more like they're my college friends, so they're studying like similar stuff. Not similar stuff to me, but like like law and computer science and stuff like that. Which I actually is like another topic. It's like I do enjoy like the fact that like the people I live with, a lot of people, pretty much everyone I interact with, all my friends, literally all my friends besides Yash, I guess, is in like a non like entertainment type of field,
Sure.
which is like it's like obviously there's pros and cons to some degree, but it's like it does help me sometimes detach from that world if I do need it, and see the other aspect of it. But obviously it would also be nice to have like more friends as well in that kind of realm. I think a lot of my friends in LA, by the nature of LA, are more in acting and people
Sure.
I've made newer friends and stuff. But definitely everyone who I was growing up with is not.
Pros and cons for both, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All my friends in high school were, or like my main group of friends were not interested in theater, and it was great because then I could go from rehearsal and then just talk about something totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But out here, I mean, you're gonna find people in the entertainment space in some
Exactly.
capacity.
Yeah.
And I think like having those like two separate groups works out well because especially when you're in LA, like, if I were to constantly hang around all my actor friends, as much as I love them and as much as we're all here to support each other, there is that healthy competition in a way. And you
Sure,
kind of
yeah.
like, you can kind of like, start doubting yourself or losing yourself when, you're hearing about all these different things, all these different auditions and bookings and stuff.
Yeah, the whole comparison game. is
Exactly.
tough, yeah.
And it's like you're not, trying to compare yourself, but like each person, like they have their own like inner voice that's like, like why
It is-
aren't you
yeah,
doing
yeah.
something better? Like why aren't you doing this and that? Like maybe you're not as good of an actor. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that is very true, and especially you see that in LA. So I guess like
Yeah.
how long do you guys see yourself here for a while, LA, or
Yeah.
Yeah?
This is the first place I've lived for like. This is the first place that was intentionally I would leave home for a long time.
Yeah.
Just because I've lived outside of Chicago all my life, went to school near Chicago, and so I decided I'm like, if you want to get a real shot at this, like, give it the time it deserves. Like you're not that much of an idiot to assume like in 2 years, you've made it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, as of now, like once again, this is the only thing I want to do. Like the
Yeah.
only thing I want to do is perform in some capacity.
Yeah.
And if I don't have other responsibilities outside of myself, which I'm very lucky not to, give it your all.
I like that. Yeah. For me, goal is to book a project that takes me to New York. I
Cool.
want to live in New York. Only reason I'm not there is because New York is more focused on Broadway, and I feel like when you're starting out, being in LA is important because a lot of shoots are here in LA, so it does make life a little easier. I do see myself once I graduate, like staying in LA, but the second I have something to move to New York, I'm out. I'm gone.
Yeah.
I
That's what-
love the East Coast and I want to go back.
I wish
Very
we could
nice.
move
Mhm.
downtown Chicago or New York to the West
Yeah.
Coast. I would
Love
never
Chicago.
leave.
I know.
I would
that
never
would
leave.
be. It's
I
also the
love Chicago.
mentality,
Yes.
like
the
what-
pace also.
the pace. I can't.
Yeah.
Like I'm such
Yeah.
a. People look at my calendar and would genuinely have like an anxiety attack. Like I look at
Yeah.
my calendar and every morning I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do because I'm constantly booking something after the other, which is just how I feel like everyone in New York is,
Mhm.
which I like. I don't mind.
Yeah, no, I like it. And I think like New York, it's like I want to live there for 1 or 2 years at some point and then see kind of the vibe. But that's like one of the things I want to do in my 20s at some point. I mean, like I'm not gonna like force it if it's not natural though.
Sure.
But like if something like it's kind of similar. Like if something takes me there, that'd be cool. Or I mean, I'd love to do an international thing. That'd be cool. But
That would be
yeah.
awesome.
and anyone
Oh,
anyone
yeah.
would want that. But
Oh, yeah.
My twin lives in New York. He goes to law school in New York,
Yeah.
and it's weird just because like he's out there, and if I
does your twin act?
I didn't know you had it.
That I feel like I
have an
feel like you brought
identical
this up in the
twin, yeah.
audition.
Uh,
Maybe I'm not sure. But
we've actually had this conversation. he took like acting classes in high school, and he would be awesome.
Yeah.
But he's like, if there's ever a role that requires twins that we fit the description, like he can't do it right now because he's in law school. But down the line, he's like, I will absolutely audition for that.
Dude, look, if I have a script that needs twins, now I know.
Yeah, no, he would
Yeah.
gladly, and I swear he would be great at it. The one stipulation, he's like, no, if there's any nudity at all, I'm out. I'm like, okay, that's all right. Because in our senior year of high school, one of our best friends sends us this link that he found, and it's for Westworld. And he goes, yo, they're looking for twins. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, we should do that. And he goes, nah, it's full nudity. I'm out. I'm like, okay. Which is like very reasonable.
Yeah.
But that would have been so cool. I mean, obviously, we didn't even audition, so it doesn't matter. But
Damn.
That's hilarious. So you're saying he's in New York?
he's in New York, yeah. And I just, as much as I love him, I just have no, and my oldest brother's in New York too. I just have no desire as of now. I don't know
that's
why.
all.
I don't know why. I just, so packed. It's so
Yeah.
fast paced.
That's why for me, it's like, I don't know if I can live there long term, but like, I want to experience it just to.
Yeah, the
with
constant anxiety of a moving city.
I will go any
Exactly.
day. Live there for 10 years.
Chicago's still the best city in the U.S.
No.
It's a beautiful.
No.
I
Yeah.
completely agree. It's a beautiful blend.
You've only seen Elgin.
It's-
But we're biased.
Like,
but
No,
we're
I've
Rabbani's
been
literally
downtown.
She's been downtown on the Uber at like 1 a.m. Like,
pretty
Yeah,
fun though.
my flight.
not in the summer.
Getting canceled.
Come in the summer.
It's one
come
of
in,
those
like,
beautiful places in this country.
New
It's
York.
Chicago
actually incredible.
in June.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Before
New
it's like
York.
95 all day.
Even August, end up like mid-August. Yeah.
We're biased, but I
Yeah, we're
agree.
biased.
It's a beautiful
Hey.
blend of everything. You don't have
Actually-
trash on the streets.
Yeah.
First off,
It's very clean.
New York's getting cleaner.
Eh.
all right.
I'm
Or
not
tell
even
me-
from New York, and I'm
Yeah.
representing it as
defending
if
it.
I'm from there.
Actually, my favorite city now is San Diego.
San
No, I
Diego's
could
great.
never live in
Underrated.
San
It's a very nice
Diego.
pace.
I'll live there when I'm 45. 50.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a-
that'd be solid.
It's like
But I love going there. Like if I need to just get away, it's like everyone's so chill. The vibes are
everyone's just
immaculate.
doing their own thing,
Yeah.
which is
It's a
really
nice
nice.
getaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
weekend
close
away.
to like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Closer to me. in
Yeah.
Orange.
Yeah.
and you've never been, I think.
I went
Have
for
you?
2 hours for like a fashion show and then
Oh, okay.
came
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. No, that's my happy place.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know.
I've
I
been
also
there
love
enough
Mexican food.
to sure. I just don't think I haven't been there enough to give it a fair shake.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I've only been there for like weekend trips and stuff.
Sure,
So
I'm going
it's
there
like-
at the end of March. Me and a couple
nice.
of buddies from college were just
Oh,
go
nice.
we were just like two of us live out here, so they're like, why are you
It's
not
easy.
coming to California? Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we're just taking kind of a weekend off, which is awesome.
Oh, that's solid. So you're saying end of March?
Yeah,
Well, after that, at the end of March is April 1st.
yes, it is.
And April 1st is the Upside Brown screening. So
yeah.
we hope to see everyone there.
Nice first time you looked at the camera.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly. Little Upside Brown breaking the fourth wall action. But yeah, everyone, just a reminder, April 1st, we'll have our screening. Hopefully you can interact with the cast, the crew, and everyone. But yeah, thank you guys again for, coming on the show, speaking your words. And yeah, we'll see you on the big screen next. So
Awesome, thank you. This was awesome.
Thank you. I know. This is really fun.
awesome.